Good afternoon, all, and welcome to another edition of the Sal Greco Show. And I'm your host, Sal Greco. If you can, please hit that like, share, subscribe button, hit the notification button if you're watching us right now live on YouTube. If you're on Rumble, please hit that like button, hit that Rumble button. And if you're watching us streaming live right now on X, please hit that repost button, share it out to all your friends and family, and especially any low information people in your circle that need to get informed quickly. And there's plenty of material to be informed on in not only New York City, but I think the country. And New York City seems to be in the center of things. But we'll get to a few things about that little bit later in this show. But there's someone I'm going to have on now. I'm going to bring them on. And it's interesting because, the theme. One of the themes here in the Finest Unfiltered Network, and also my show in particular, is we advocate and bring in stories of people that are victims of abuse of government officials and abuse of even their supervisors, subordinates, and they don't really have a voice. And if they do speak out, they get retaliated upon. They get smeared upon. They could even face possible criminal charges, and that they flip the script on them. There's a lot of things that happen, but I am one, as you know, because of my own situation, that I always defend these people, and I think it's a microcosm of what's wrong in society. So there's a story that I kind of knew about a few months back. I kind of learned about it on my way into investigating things in my own case involving the Attorney General of New York State, Letitia James, who crossed my path because she was obviously a well-known alumni of the now shuttered restaurant Con Sofrito in the Bronx, and she's associated with a mob associate, and there's a police department involved. So this story, I came to learn about on that path, and it's pretty disturbing, and also it lines up with just about everything else that is going on in that circle and with all these people, because it's the people in power that have issues and like to abuse people underneath them. Workforce abuse is more like it, and it doesn't matter where it is, but it seems to fester in New York City. You saw it in the state yesterday. Kathy Hochul, the governor, her aide is now leaving and under investigation for sexual harassment in the workplace. Right here, Governor Hochul suspends top aide accused of sexual harassment. Avi Small, the press secretary to Governor Kathy Hochul in New York, is being investigated after another aide accused them of inappropriate touching. So this is a common trend. I see it a lot in New York City and New York State. I don't know why everyone just wants to stay silent, but I won't. And I always will give this platform to people that need to speak up, because this is disgusting, and it also hooks in New York City taxpayers. So today I'm going to present to you my guest, who has plenty to say about her own situation, and everyone should get behind her, because people like her, Angel DuBose, she needs not only your help, and she needs your eyeballs on her situation, but Angel DuBose represents all of America, because this can happen to you. So without any further ado, I'd like to welcome Angel to the stage.
Well, thank you, Sal. I appreciate you having me come on and to amplify my voice. And first, I just want to say thank you, Jesus, for saving my life.
Amen.
On 12/22/2014. I just want to give like a small backdrop before I go into the story, because
Sure.
the story is painful and it is heartfelt. It's painful, it's heartfelt, and it had happened to me. And I'm in my 11th year for seeking justice. So, a little bit about me. I am a fashion designer. I'm a mother of two, I would say young girls, but since it's been 10 years now, they are adults. And I started working for the public advocate, but I've never been in government before. and did not know how the system works. And I moved from Maryland back to New York to, because my daughters, they said they had dreams. So I just graduated with my bachelor's degree, and we were headed back to New York, the city of dreams. And later I learned it was the city of deceit, the city of corruption, and a city of evil. So I was kidnapped. I was drugged. I was kidnapped, sexually essayed. I'm learning language here. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not like I use it freely when I'm speaking, but I have to remember that things are censored. So forgive me. And I was left abandoned. I was interning for the public advocate, who is the Attorney General, Letitia James. Back in June 2014, I was interning, and I was on welfare. I needed a job, and what seemed to be a normal job, even though, there was some dysfunctions in the job, but like any job, I'm thinking anywhere there's some dysfunctions, even though there were some dysfunctions in terms of personality conflicts, but that didn't deter me from wanting the job. And where I was at in my life or stages, I wanted more. I wanted to, so in terms of fashion, it's always looking at the outer appearance, your hair, your clothes, but I wanted to amount to something with more depth in my career. So me pursuing to intern at the public advocate's office seemed like a good fit. And to see an African-American woman standing up for justice, advocating, I was very attracted to this kind of profession, to be an advocate. And so I started in June, and then I was fully hired full time in September. So it's 4 months later. And doing that, I did some outreach, protesting, and I primarily managed the constituent services hotline, which I might say I enjoyed the most, because that's where you're like boots on the ground. You have people calling with all kinds of issues, and that's when they noticed me. They, the word got around. She's really good. We don't know who she is, right? I learned that when you go work into these government agencies, normally someone brought you in. So they kept asking me, well, who brought you in? Well, who are you? And I kept giving the story. I don't want to tell them that, again, I'm on welfare, even though certain people knew. But it's like, I guess it's like a party and everybody knows your name. But here it is, I'm coming in and they don't know my name. So the talk is, well, who's the girl? Where did she come from? And, so once I was hired, I felt good because I believe I got in on my own account. My work ethics spoke for itself. And I thought they were impressed with me. I felt good about going to work every day. I really liked that job. And not long after, there was a bully, and her name was Adrienne Felton. And she was Tish, right-hand girl. I call her right-hand girl, close friend, alumni. Like, they knew each other for a long time. And this person, Adrienne, she would try to bully me. And, with her bullying me was manageable, right? In the beginning, I'm like, she's coarse in terms of behavior. She may give me a look. I'm thinking I can handle that. But there was one time she just got promoted, and I was passing her, and she had her belongings in the office cart. As I went to pass her, she shoved the cart and she hit me. This is a cart, like when you go shopping in a grocery store. So she shoved the cart and hit me, and I said, "Are you really going to keep going?" And she said, Move. Yeah, I am. So from there, I went back to my cubicle and I just said, you know what? I was raised not to, no one could bully me. My guardian would say, don't let anybody bully you. So I reported her. And at this point in time, it was known that the office they plotted to get her out, right? So here it is, they plotted to get her out. And then here it is, I reported her. So they used my report as leverage to get her out. Now, they told me to write it up. And I said, I prefer not to write it up. I just prefer we have a meeting, we talk about it, and hopefully Adrienne can go her way and I can go my way. And Laura Costa, which was the deputy chief of staff, she persuaded, we really need you to write this report. We want something to stick. And I just said, I'm just thinking, I really don't want to do that. But she's like, wouldn't life be better without Adrienne? And I wrote it up. So they did an investigation and come down that Tish did not fire her, right? She demoted her. This is 2 days before the Christmas party. And at this point, all that negative energy that was aimed at Adrienne was now redirected to me. So a couple of days before the Christmas party, like maybe that Friday, because the Christmas party was on a Monday. Now everyone's looking at me, they're whispering behind my back, and they're smiling and frowning at the same time. So if you see someone, you go, hi, they would do that. So I would, I don't really know them, right? Because I'm just coming in, but now I notice there's a shift in tone, personality, that I'm no longer approachable to say hello to. Now I'm like dirt on a shoe, basically. So to get to the Christmas party, I was very nervous to go to this Christmas party, and they did get other names on this this HR report. What I learned was, I thought that, hey, I'm going to go to this party, and I went with the people that that was on the report too. But before I went to the party, I went looking for an apartment that morning because I moved from Maryland to New York, so I was living with my sister, and we were just in a 2-bedroom. It was like 5 of us. So my daughters and myself slept in the couch bed. So me having the job, I was just really excited to be able to move out on and take care of my girls in the proper way. So when I went to the party, the worst case, I was thinking that maybe me and Adrienne might scuffle. We may have a fight. That was the worst case scenario. So we get to the party, as soon as I go in, I see Tish talking to Amber and Sarah and Laura Costa and Annie McGee. I'm already nervous. So I tell Leah, that's who was with me. We were together, Leah, Eson, and Joshua. I said, can we sit over here? And she said, why? I said, I want to sit where I don't have to look over my shoulders and I can see it all. So I just figured that would just be a great position where, because I don't know, having somebody behind me and they're not really feeling you, it's just a way in terms of protection. So the party seemed like it was going well. Leah, she lives in Long Island, and Staten Island. She said, Angel, I have to take the ferry. I can't stay long. And I was like, just hold on, Leah. Let me just peep out the party. So, we bought a wine, and then party's going on. Everyone's coming in. Everyone was there, the entire staff. It was told that the party was mandatory and no interns could come. Now, they didn't say mandatory in the email, but it was mandatory. Now, everything seems like it's going well. I walk Leah out because I'm like, okay, Leah. And I thought about it looking back. I should have left with Leah. So now it's just me and them. But I used to be a bartender, so I went to the bar to kind of get the feel of the party. You know, as a bartender, if you mingle with the bartender, you can see where everything that's going on. So I'm talking to the bartender. His name was Richie, and I'm like, Richie, I don't really know these people. I'm just trying to get a feel of what's going on. And you know, I notice and I see Jennifer Levy, right? She's looking at me like I'm a piece of food. And like the whole party felt like something was off. And this is where I have to slow down. The whole party, even though I was fake smiling like I was having a good time, because I really was intimidated, I just really wanted them to like me. I really believe that, hey, you know, it's not that bad. I know that me and Adrian's not getting along, but I'm a good worker. I'm believing that they'll see me outside of this issue that she has with me. So, you know, Jennifer Levy's looking at me was strange. It was creepy. I was, you know, urged to get on the Soul Train line. I got on the Soul Train line, Brandon Broach. And I know as soon as I got on the Soul Train line, I can just feel the negative energy. And, you know, they didn't really like me because I can't give a reason why someone wouldn't like you if they don't know you. But they just gave me the stares like, we don't like you. So I'm on the Soul Train line. And when it was my turn, no one cheered. Like, first they were all doing this. And then when I started going down the line, they just stopped. Just stopped. It was like some kind of Carrie movie. So I said, okay, forget these hoes. I gave them something to look at as I was dancing down the line. Like, if you're going to stare at me, let me give you something to look at. And at this point, I'm thinking, I can't make them like me. I'm not made that way. I wasn't groomed that way. But my instinct was just telling me to run. And right after that, Amber, she's the director at the time of policy. She said, if anyone want to extend the party, head on upstairs. So I was thinking 7:40 p.m. I can, you know, get one last drink and I'll head out. So I went to grab my 2 bags, and Ibrahim Khan, he grabbed my hand and he's looking at me. He's saying, oh, you look so beautiful. Oh, you're just so beautiful. And I'm looking at him like, what is your problem? So he twirls me around. So I'm twirling around in front of Jared Hova, Laura Costa, Jennifer Levy, Laura Atlas, Sarah Venezuela, I think Umir, Amber. Oh no, Amber was upstairs, and there was another person.
And these are all your coworkers that work directly underneath Letitia.
These are all the management.
Oh,
this is Tish crew right here.
Mm-hmm.
So, so when he turned me around, I'm just trying to understand what part of the party is this, right? So I went upstairs behind Amber Green, Wayne Collins, and Christopher Marshall. Now, it was clever, right? Because the Woodrow's pub is 43 Murray. It's like a 2-family home. So there's an upstairs and there's a downstairs. So our party was downstairs. So when Amber said all those who want to extend the party head upstairs, that only those who went supposedly knew what happened to me, right? So they separated the 2 groups, right? So it was clever how they separated the ones who went upstairs from the people downstairs. So it was creating an illusion as if no one could really know what was going on. So if you ever ask, well, where's Angel? I don't know. She went upstairs, right? That would be the answer.
Yep.
So as soon as I went upstairs and Ibrahim, he sped behind us. Amber, she said, Ibrahim wants to talk to you. And she lured me. Luring me to him. But so she said, he's at the bar. And I said, well, what does he want with me? Now, mind you, as soon as I get upstairs, I look at the setting and I say, I shouldn't be here because I don't know anybody here. It's Amber. I never hang out with this woman. It's Christopher. I don't know him. And it's Wayne. So I'm just saying, what are you doing? You need to leave because these aren't your homies, you know.
Yeah.
So so now I'm trying to gather myself to leave, but now I'm being redirected to speak with Ibrahim. So once I sit down with Ibrahim, he's looking spacey into my eyes and he says, are you enjoying the party? Would you like a drink? So to be polite, I said yes. And I ordered the kamikaze. So as soon as the drink came in, he hovered his hand over my glass. So when he hovered his hand over my glass, he's looking me locked into my eyes and I'm locked into his eyes. I said, yeah, okay, that drink doesn't look like it's for me. And I take the drink because now I'm like, the walls started to close in and I couldn't ignore this warning. I just couldn't ignore it, but I have to escape out of there. So I put my tongue into the drink and I said, you know what? I can get a cigarette. So normally if I drink, at the time I would smoke a cigarette. So I bummed the cigarette just to buy some time. I bummed the cigarette, a lighter from a white guy. He had a Marlboro. And I said, all right, I'll be right back. I left my 2 bags and my gray puffy coat. And I had my pocketbook on my arm with Wayne, Amber, and Christopher. As I stepped outside, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do because my heart is beating fast. It's like my instinct is saying something, but my mind is trying to, because while we were in there, Adrienne is gone. She said she was leaving early. And Tish, she announced that she was leaving early. So they're not even there, right? They left they left a little bit earlier. So I'm standing outside and I see the Lincoln Town car come up. Now, Woodrow's is right here. So this would be the doorway and it's a one-way. So I'm right here and the car it pulls up and I see the car and I'm like, and I said, like, I thought she was leaving. And I said, that's Tish's car. And before you know it, I'm being rushed into the car. So they had like 6 steps. Bam, 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 bam. I'm in the car. So Wayne and Christopher rushed me into the car. Now Tish is in the car and she's on the left side of me. Wayne he's very tall. He's like 6'6". He's standing and I'm semi-conscious and I can see him standing and she's saying in a grave voice, like measured, is she out? And it's like she's trying to get his attention. And then she says it again, is she out? And I was out. Yes. So
this is incredible. You're outnumbered outside, and they conveniently separate the group. And I can only relate to what's going on right here with you. If anybody out there has been in the New York City Police Department, they have the little Christmas parties, parties in general, in a workforce, especially in a city government setting. This is kind of the scene you're describing is what I've only been to one and I was not there long. This is kind of the scene. You have your little cliques and you have all these different things going on. And to go back on one of the first things you said, they made you write some report and then made you the poster child of what was going to happen so that they could then target you in particular, which is why they weren't clapping. And all you're doing is you're trying to fit in because you know in the back of your mind as this going on, you're being watched. This is a job that, first of all, you thought it's a dream job to be in New York City. And also you're going there thinking, what do I do to try to fit in? Do I not fit in? Because worst case scenario, you get fired on the spot because these people are crazy. And then what do you do? Because that's what you're really protecting. And I do want to make one before you go on. Actually, Eric Sanders is in the chat and he commented, this is my attorney. By the way, he's got a ton of cases for sexual harassment and assault. And he says right here, as I've said many times, this sort of boorish behavior is prevalent throughout society. And I want people to remember that line as Angel continued. I just wanted to say, because I want to set the stage there that, I just can't believe everybody's going to play deaf, dumb, and blind when you have three people throwing you into a limo while they're basically inside this place. What it sounds like is it's a giant, oh, we're going to get her. It's like a whole plotting going on in there.
Oh,
Very connivingly and smooth without any.
They calculated it. And I'll, before I get to that, it was, so I'm in the car. I don't remember until I'm in this dark room with a lot of candles. And it's like the way they had me positioned, either they were circling me or they were spinning me. And they were groping my private parts. They were chanting. They were cursing. They were cursing my life. And it's like they were mad about something, but at the same time, it was like they were giving me away. And I can just feel they were so excited. They were so excited to give me as a gift. Give me as a gift. Now, staying here is a tough one for me because I remember those hands, like they were spitting on me. It was disgusting. So from that part, it kind of like faded out in terms of my memory. And they threw me away. They threw me away like garbage. They took my stuff. And I woke up in the pouring rain. It's December. I don't have a coat. Now, I don't know I don't have a coat. I'm just waking up in the rain. And I truly believe that Jesus called my name because I was dead laying there. They terrorized me. So moving slow. I'm so discombobulated. I am disheveled in my brain. I am confused and I'm banging on the air. And then I saw the cafe. There was 2 cafes. I go inside one and I'm like, help me. I can remember the lady looking at me like I look so strange. And I'm like, help me. And I can remember how the slow motion of how I'm trying to get my words to articulate myself just to say, help me, help me. She looked at me and I walked right out the door. And it's like a part of me knowing that because I changed my clothes. I had Christmas clothes. And, at my Christmas outfit. So because I'm a fashion person. So I was like, I'm ready for the whole Christmas. I went to look for an apartment. I had my clothes. So when the woman didn't help me, I couldn't understand, like, I'm not homeless, but because I had this psychosis in my eyes from what just happened to me, that's what she sees. She sees a deranged woman because I'm not the same woman that I was at the party. They took the rug from under my feet.
Mm-hmm.
So I hailed the cab. Now, when I hailed the cab, there's a Middle Eastern man. I get in the cab and he says, ma'am, do you have money? I'm crying. I'm just crying. I'm bawling because I'm trying to find out what happened to the group I was with. And it's like, I don't know if you wear glasses. So when you put on a new pair of glasses, you feel like you're walking on air. So I'm just like, where? Now I knew who I was. I knew I had children. I knew that I was somewhere with a group, with a party. And deep in the back of my mind, it was like, I felt like they played a joke on me. I'm trying to find them because I know that I was with a group. So in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to find you because I'm looking for them because I know I was just with them. And after me trying to figure it out so hard, I said, I got to get home to my children. And I get into the cab. The cab driver says, do you have money? And I said, oh, yeah, hold on a second. And I realized I don't have a bag. I don't have a coat. And I'm like, I don't have a coat, a bag. So I just, you know, he kicked me out. So when he kicked me out, I called on God. I said, Lord, please send me a cab. I'm trying not to be hysterical because I'm like in my mind, I feel like I'm about to lose it. And another cab driver came in and he was an African man. And he said, ma'am, are you okay? I said, no, I'm not okay. He said, I said, I don't know how I got here. He said, you walked into the cab. I said, I know I walked into the cab, but I don't know how I got here. He's like, he couldn't get that. Like, what do you mean? I said, he said, do you have money? And I said, no, I don't have any money because now I know I don't have a bag. I'm like, I'm trying to find my stuff in the cab. I'm looking under the seat. And he says, well, how are you going to pay this cab? I said, please call my sister. My sister will pay this cab. I love my sister. She's so sweet. I called my sister. I said, could you let me use your phone, sir? He gave me his little phone and I called my sister. And I said, T, I don't know what happened to me. I'm in a cab. I don't know where I'm going. And she said, what are you talking about, Angel? What are you talking about? I'm like, please, T, can you talk to the cab driver? I don't know what's going on. And so she talks to the cab driver. He says, yeah, I picked her up. And she's talking about a party. So my sister says, yeah, the job. She was at her job. And he said, yeah, but she doesn't look too well. She said, could you bring it to me? And he said, for $40, I will bring it to you. And he brought me to my sister. So from there, I'm going to stop right there. The next day, because it's such a long story, the next day I did go to get a rape kit. My sister took me. I called the job. No, I emailed the job and said, do I have sick time? But I emailed them twice. So one email from my personal email, I emailed them. But I had to remember, I said, now you work there, you have their public advocate email. Like you can email them from your work email because they didn't respond. So I emailed there, but I wrote in that one, my stolen bag. And I said, ladies, do I have any time? Because I'm going to go, I'm going to search for my property. I didn't want to let them know what I was doing. Because I knew that they did something to me. And from there, so what I say for the whole thing was an HR report was their way to cover up the crime, cover up them taking me against my will, putting me into their car. So which one is this? What article is this one? Oh, that's what she said. We protect. She wrote.
That's what Letitia James here says. It's important to understand we protect victims. We believe victims and we believe women, and we do a thorough investigation. And that's exactly what we did. That's what Letitia James said.
Listen, See, I'm not the person that will go and say, because my anger is gone. I don't have that anymore. It took some time. It took some time. I had a lot of therapy.
Brave. You're very brave. I commend
Uh,
you. You have to have the strength from God to even come forward with something like this, because I know, and that's the point, is what these people are capable of and how they and also I want to point out that Tish James is very powerful in the media, because as you know, we've never really dove into why a place that she was going to has a human trafficking report from New York City Police Department. Everyone's just silent about it. It's like, we don't name that human being that runs that place or mention her, but she's in pictures smiling and she's there. But don't discuss this. And this is the point. I'm hearing from you this, and this goes back 11 years. So you could now go back 11 years and see that, and there she is with the individual, that the mob associate, the self-made criminal Jimmy Rodriguez, with this guy's own Concha Frito. He had a stabbing in Sorbo Garden. He had Jimmy's Bronx Cafe. Some of the stuff that was going on there, I don't know how the attorney general should be there smiling with this individual, but the behavior you're mentioning is kind of the rumors of places like that one where they were frequenting, but that she's very powerful, and that she also has people in the media that know how to quell something like this from reaching critical mass, or in fact, even reaching the top, because look at that statement she gave, and that's the problem here. And people should really home in on what you're saying and rally behind you.
Well, what I realized is when I did go back to work, and it's so strange how when I first came in after the rape kit, the day after, Leah, the person that I was with at the party, I'm on the 15th floor and I'm standing there. I'm like ringing the bell. Leah, open the door. She's like, because she can't believe I'm alive. So I said, Leah, open the door. So she opened the door. And then she just looking at me as I walked by, like, because she thought she saw a ghost, the entire office. Now, I'm not saying that I have like this bad woman to come in there, like nothing happened to me. I listened to the voice of the Lord. He said, go back. And I said, okay, I'm going back. And I made sure I had on decent clothes, because I figured since I did the rape kit, I'm not going to say anything to them. I'm just, they're going to talk. They're going to tell me, because it's like, if I offer information, right, then it's different. But I said, they're going to tell me what they did. And they started to tell me what they did. And along with the episodes, I knew what Tish did to me. I knew what Ibrahim did to me. And I knew what they all did to me. These are separate accounts. But for me to work there after that, they treated me, it was like they thought they owned me, which is so strange, because I remember the director, Timothy Tappy, he would say, you know, that thing you have going on. And he would refer it, what they did to me, as if it was a thing. So whenever I stood up for myself, he would say, remember that thing? And I remember saying, what thing? I don't know what you're talking about. And he goes, you know, that thing. And I said, there is no thing. That's not a thing anymore. And he just looked at me like, you're not supposed to, answer back. You're supposed to just let me tell you what to do. So I think whatever craft that they did, it was to believe that they had this control over me. But one thing they didn't realize, I was just loving on them, because that was God's love. Now, the hate that could have boiled from that day, I'm not going to say I never felt like I didn't like him. I would be lying. There were many days that I just couldn't believe a group of people would do such inhumane things, of such cruelty. And they made it like I had when I filed the DOI, they said I was I had drug and I was drunk. But my toxicology, there's no drugs. There was none, no drugs. I don't do drugs, but there was just, so what the good thing is, and God is so great, they didn't know I took the rape kit. So here it is. They already knew what the narrative they were going to give me. I'm crazy. I was drunk. And somehow I lost delusional. I lost my stuff. Somebody put me in the cab. Because this is what they wrote in the human rights. And I'm not going to talk about that lawyer that I had. I got to stay safe in that regard. But I don't know how my rape kit didn't get into that article, into that that file and the NYPD report. But they found no probable cause. So the office doesn't know that I took this rape kit because I didn't give it to the police because I was afraid. So now you can see there was no drugs, there was no alcohol. So who was crazy? Who was crazy? It wasn't me. I was so detailed. So when I wrote my EEO, I was very detailed. That's not somebody who was so detailed and knew exactly when I stepped outside and I saw a Tish car. That's in my report. It says black car. But they say that wasn't mine. So now the last thing in terms of the New York Post, I just wanted to touch on that just a little bit. Could you bring up the New York Post, the article? Pretty please.
Yeah, I saw it briefly up there, said the New York Post. Yeah, here it is.
Okay. So in the Post, the cover up.
Which one was that? A different number?
That's the first one. That's the first
one.
That the New York Post. At the time I had lawyers, and the office says, if you scroll up, it says that the allegations were a lie. And what's very important about this, stop right here for a little bit. What's very important about, so it says, Khan made suggestive comments to me and the Post. I went outside to smoke. Next thing I knew, I woke up in the middle of the street. Now, if you really look at that, it shows a deflection of what really they said was she was taken away, because they didn't say essayed, meaning they didn't say abduction, but that's what it means, right? So the way the Post wrote it, they're deflecting on the real narrative to hide the fact that something really happened to me. Because if I'm standing outside in front of Woodrow's, and then all of a sudden I wake up in the middle of the street, they're not the same place. So I had to be transported. They took me. So then the New York Post, 8 years later, removed my article, right?
Correct.
Eric Wimple called me. He says, "Did you remove the article?" I said, "No, I didn't remove the article." He said, "Well, who did?" I'm like, "I don't know." And then next, he comes out with the story. So they removed the article, and then it said it learned that I didn't know who assaulted me. Clearly, that meeting was set up with my lawyers. So I don't know how they can confuse it learned. I told you, right? You didn't it learn, you got it from me. So then so you have 1 year to find a liable complaint, which I did. I tried to get lawyers to take on the New York Post, and nobody wanted to touch it. So I filed in civil court, New York Civil Court, and I won a default judgment of $50,000. And I gave the judge all the evidence proving, even I had emails between me and my lawyer, how I did not like the article. And why did they write about that? I thought it was about discrimination case. And even though I spoke to the New York Post in this article, I told them what Tish did. They put me in her car and everything, but they still omitted her name. I've noticed that seems to be the thing. I mentioned that to the NYPD. They omitted her name. I mentioned her to the Manhattan DA. They omitted her name. So after a while, he said, what's the point of saying her name when they're going to take her name out? As if she's not guilty, but she's 100% guilty, just like the rest of them.
This is, right there, though, with that default judgment that you won against them, that shows how credible this story of yours is and how they went to incredible lengths to cover this up. The first thing I'm thinking right now is I know you went to the Department of Investigation, which we know. We watch this. Anyone watching this show or this network can tell you they are pretty much in the middle of anything that goes from internal affairs to New York City Police Department back to the Department of Investigation, which is the liaison between the FBI and the NYPD involving government corruption cases. Why was this handled? I mean, how did they handle this? Because she and her staff keep going up the ranks because she went from public advocate to attorney general. And in fact, Mr. Khan, the chief of staff, was still with her up until, again, I think there's other victims that ended up doing the same thing you did and filing to EEO and filing to the Human Resource Department. And there, I mean, he got removed at the very end, I think a year or two ago. But is anyone doing anything? Did the Department of Investigation do anything? Is the NYPD? What happened? They did nothing. They just
listen. I went back to the NYPD once I really realized, because I didn't understand that there could be two offenses in one crime. So I kept trying to understand. I know that they abducted me. We talked about this then when I reported it, but I didn't understand that they were two separate things until after the civil court case with the New York Post. I came home and I'm thinking, and I'm like, God, what? Then I said, I was kidnapped. And a month later, I went right back to do the NYPD, same location. And I said, it's on TikTok. It shows that I said, I want to open up the file. I was kidnapped. Because I didn't understand that it was two offenses in one crime. The sergeant was like, "Sorry, there's nothing we could do." I'm like, "What do you mean there's nothing you could do?" It's foil. Here's the thing I don't understand. We got the evidence. I go to all the channels. How do you just ignore? How do you just ignore? So I'm supposed to just take this? I mean, this is just my problem that I have the NYPD to ignore. The Department of Investigation doesn't even it's mandated, but it doesn't do anything. The Manhattan DA set me up to get my sign a HIPAA to get my raid kit, and next you know it's discarded. I'm trying to figure out, when is enough? When is it my turn? I mean, I just did the verified petition, and the judge, Paul Getz, he was Tish. She was his attorney 2 years prior. So you're like, come on! They give me this case. Was it cherry picked? I don't. So now I have to recuse him. He dismissed the case. Now I had to appeal. So it's like we still doing the same dance, same dance. But this is a U.S. problem. She's a terrorist. Point blank, period. That's all. And an offender, a sex offender.
She is everything that people have, in my opinion, she's everything that people have been saying just in the last few months. Now we've uncovered through Sam Antar and Joe Gilbert. There's mortgage fraud implications. There's insurance fraud on that, and of course the big thing that's still in the 800-pound elephant in the room is what were you doing at a place where human trafficking was reported and it was party all the time? So what you're saying here gives credence to everything that I've kind of alluded to, where there is a culture of perversion, not only under just Tish James, but this apparatus. And the apparatus is this, whether we want to call it city government, federal government, but employees of this government or the system have this, it's almost like a cult-like behavior where they do something.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're involved in something. And I like to remind people at, and this is, I believe this is your GoFundMe, correct?
Yes, it is. Yes, the goal for the GoFundMe is to raise some funds to really get some litigation, because I want a criminal lawyer and a civil lawyer. They need, and the only way to fight them, right? Because now they hear me saying this, and I know they're like, oh my goodness, she is out. Yes, thank you, Jesus. Yes, she is out. I am out. I am talking, I am speaking, and I cannot be silenced any longer. Now, the goal for the GoFundMe is we need the support, because she does have a lot of people in her pocket. There people like the access. Now, if she's the thug type that we're really talking about, she knows a lot of people, and she has always known a lot of people. She know a lot of people. She has the right team behind her to keep the corruption going nonstop. So, but that doesn't mean, and I want to bring light to it, because it can sound negative, like, oh, it'll never happen. It will happen. It will happen. If New York is saying this is what they want, then they really don't want justice. Because if you're having her be the face, and if she continues to do what she do, right, she can kidnap. I'm sure there's other people, right? They may be too afraid to speak up. How many times do you have to hear the story about Letitia James? Like, when is enough that you're going to say, I don't want her representing me? On top of that, I want her to go to jail. Politicians, they get these jobs. Is it to do crimes? I'm hoping that's not the case, because I believe one day back then she had a good heart. Somewhere down the line, something went wrong.
Somewhere it's almost, I think it's, again, it looks like it's a little club that you get into somehow, initiated or something, because there seems to be an issue with this deviancy, sexual deviancy amongst these people. I could tell you just in the last few months what you heard out of the New York City Police Department and her good buddy, Eric Adams himself, who's involved in multiple sexual assault cases himself. And of course, how the NYPD went on a campaign to try to silence one of those victims as well. Because of course, we have Jeffrey Madry involved. We had John Schell involved. You have Kaz Daughtry involved, all these big names that you hear. And of course, the weight of the city government to silence this whole, not only the victim, but to quell any kind of coverage, any media, and then they'll go on these bigger platforms and act like, oh yeah, crime is down, the city's great, everything's great. Tish James is always, no one's above the law herself. And you see what goes on around it, and you say, how evil can the world be to have people like this, not only in charge, but run cover for them? And when you're a victim and there's nowhere to go, how do you go forward other than through your own faith? Because that's the only thing that kept you going in this moment.
That's right. Amen. But God, my saying is, where do you go when you have gone and you've tried everywhere else? I wrote the senators. My case is sealed with the Manhattan DA. I'm like, I didn't even seal it. What judge would seal the case? They didn't even serve me. They treated me like I don't have a voice. I'm nobody. That's how bad it is. But to God, I'm somebody. I just want to say thank you for having me on. I know that I've taken up a lot of time. I really appreciate it.
Well, no, this was I wanted your story out there. I mean, I think that this is important, and you've shown a lot of courage having to relive this. And I know what it's like. I was a police officer. I had to deal with the same situations, but never to something where it was someone so powerful that there's a pattern of behavior with them. And really, I feel for you, and I'm sure the audience does. I see the comments is how do you go about this? Because it's like they're like David versus like Goliath times 10, because the system is designed to protect them.
Yes, it is.
That's the system. And I'm just telling you that there's people like, I know Mr. Sanders, you saw him in the comments. He would definitely like to speak to you to see if there's anything that could be done here. Also, anyone out there, if you're a lawyer, I don't know if you could, try to contact Angel somehow. Is there a way to reach out to you?
Listen, they can contact you. Listen, no double agents. I'm not interested in the double agents. I have seen where lawyers will say one thing and do something else. They just give you up. I'm believing that this is the turning point, right? And I'm not a victim anymore. I'm not even a survivor. I'm thriving. I am thriving, and this going to go forward. Now, what the results will be is only for God to have that manifested. But for me, I'm going to continue to keep telling my story, and I'm going to continue to keep fighting until Letitia James is locked up, not just step down.
I only second that. I think that should have been done already. And right here, Eric Sanders in the comment, and you said, "I'm still watching." So he heard your whole story here. You definitely should have some kind of representation. I think you have not only a couple of cases. I think the kidnapping statute is there is no statute of limitations on it. No, so there's definitely criminality here. I don't know if there was a rape kit done, it's still somewhere. They don't discard.
No, they listen. The hospital is so funny. First they said they discarded it this time, and then I said, "Can you please give it to me in writing?" I came back a couple of years later. They said this time. I said, "You gave me two different years. Can you just put it in writing?" They didn't even write me back. So I'm like, because Shannon Lucy. I just believe that these relationships with the hospitals, like all of this stuff seems to be like collaborated, where one knows this one knows that one. I need you to do this over here. And I would hate to say that the Queens, the New York Presbyterian Queens has a faulty system, but they did not give me where my rape kit went. They just the managers just told me, and she got an attitude while I'm like, "Lady, it happened to me." She's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." Like, I couldn't even stand up for myself. Well, what do you want? I want what you said you would hold. So I'm not sure why it's this bad. I don't know.
I also like to throw out there, if people don't notice, Letitia James did have a sister who was in the New York City Police Department. I don't know if that will factor into any of this, or is there any involvement? I'm not saying that, but she is a highly connected individual that knows a lot of people. And we heard a lot here. There were a lot of explosive allegations here, but there's already a judgment from the New York Post that proves that there's
shame on you, New York Post. Give me my money. Give me my money.
I should be paying Angel right now, okay? Because
you are wrong. You had no business stepping in like that. You were for Me Too, and you write the article, then you remove it. Why? And you know that you spoke with me and my lawyers. There would be no reason to try to just defame my name. You hurt my family and you hurt me. Now pay up.
Yeah, right here it says in your own article there, it says there should be an outside investigation of this case and how it was handled. Otherwise, people will doubt the integrity of the Attorney General. And that's Hank Shamkoff. He said that in this article. I know exactly who he is. He's been a long time political consultant for the Democrat Party. Again, Tish James is a highly connected person, goes as high up as to be connected to the Clintons. And there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of allegations that are covering things up, including the incident of human trafficking there at Conso Frito, which again, that individual that runs that place is also connected to the Clintons. It's just one big cabal. Everyone's supposed to ignore it and don't write about it and don't say anything. So I think you're a very brave person, Angel. My heart goes out to you. The entire audience here, I see a lot of the comments here. People, yeah, Carmen loves to give Angel her money. Shout out to Carmen. Yeah, you do have the support of people. So I just one more time, if you can.
My daughter sent the credit video. Can you check that? We want to end with that one. She sent something to your producer, the credit video. Could you check that for a minute?
Oh yeah, check if there's a video, Jack. If there's a video.
Yeah,
I didn't notice it.
It's a real small one, but it has the names and everything.
No, he's getting it. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying. Is there is the GoFundMe? They just put up your name. How do people go to that?
Well, the GoFundMe is. I know it's the link. And it just gives a snippet of the story. You know, it's light, and I want to tell all those who heard this story that it really, and this would never have been something that I wanted the people to remember me by, to have to tell such a harsh story. But support the GoFundMe so we can get Tish behind bars. I hate to say it that way, but it is what it is.
Anyone who's a victim here, I'm all for this. That people need to be held accountable.
You can give $1, 50 cents, like listen, $5, spare change. Now, I know this is a rough time for everyone, so I never want to assume that people have spare. But if God convicts your heart to compels you to do, please do.
Yeah, I agree. Let's play this video you mentioned. I want people to see this. Let's play this, Jack.
Yeah, these are the people that should be investigated. Wow. Thank you so much.
No, listen, thank you, Angel. And I'm gonna do whatever I can to help you and support you in any manner, any way you need. If you need to come back on, if anything, if you want, if there's anything new with this, you let me know. And I think not only you're a brave person, but you're the voice of the voiceless in a situation that I know can seem hopeless, but I know as being someone that had things, the government per se flip on me for something I didn't even do. I know what it's like, and it takes a lot of courage. And I know that your faith is going to get you through this, that God will see this through for you. And
yes, he will. And he has. Yes, I think is it Eric Sanders? He said something about the accrual of the interest, which I know the amount should be 60,000, 62. I don't know. Listen, at this point, I just want them to do the right thing. The New York Post, to show themselves credible, to be a wide known, reputable newspaper. Right. I can come on here and say no one should support the New York Post because what they did to me. Now, if people want to do that, they should do that. But for me to come on to say to do that, I don't want to do that. I'm a person of integrity. I just want them to mind their business and give me my money. That's it.
And also, and don't smear a victim, because that's another thing.
And listen and retract what you said, because I know who did what they did to me. That's it.
Mm-hmm. And that's good. You do have
thank you.
No,
so
you go ahead.
I just press.
Well, no, I'll let you. I'll let you go. I know you have a impending arrangement. But Angel, God bless you. Have a happy 4th of July.
So much. You too.
Thank you for sharing your story here, and we'll definitely be in touch.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
God bless you, Angel. There's Angel DuBose, folks, and that is a harrowing story. Just hearing that, every bone in your body wants to jump hearing something like that, because that was absolutely mishandled. You can hear what we've heard over and over again, not only on this show, but on this network, about sexual harassment and sexual assaults that go on in the government. There's government corruption, and then silence. Don't talk about the victim. There's a laundry list of people too. And this is very recent. And the funny thing is they all run in the same circles. Like I said, Letitia James, you have, there was stuff on Carl Hasty. You had stuff on Eric Adams, Tim Pearson, who else? Jeffrey Madry, Kaz Daughtry. These names are just like, and look, it's not even a black or white issue. A victim is a victim. It's more of a power structure or a cult or something, because it's an alarming rate of suits. And I could tell you this, and Eric Sanders is trying to mishandle, as in so many other cases, such as Shatora Foster. That's the latest one with the lieutenant, Trevlon Heatley, the lieutenant out sergeant, who there's supposed to be something right now. I believe it's in the media. A big publication is going to come out with the full story, piggybacking off what John McCarry wrote about, what I said on the last show about. And I can tell you right now that One Police Plaza is trying to kill that story. They don't want that out anywhere. So Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch, a.k.a. the soccer mom, you have a problem and you need to correct it. You're the police commissioner. You need to get a hold of things, okay? There's no poo-poo in this. You have a problem. It's right underneath your feet, literally on the next floor underneath you. You need to figure out how to rein in the police department. You say crime is down, but apparently it's up in One Police Plaza and in many other precincts, and there's nothing you're doing about it other than going on TV and spewing low information talking points to control the narrative, for a perception management, for someone who will not be the mayor. He will not get reelected mayor. It doesn't matter who comes down. You are going against the grain, folks. If anyone thinks that Eric Adams is going to get reelected, he's going to need everybody to drop out of that race. Mamdani, Cuomo, and Curtis Lewa. If they all dropped out of the race, maybe then he can win because he's the only one running. But with a 28% unfavorability, there's nowhere but down to go. So if you're covering up for him because he's part of this little cabal or whatever it is you guys doing behind the scenes, it's quite disgusting. It really is. And 1PP, I don't know what to say. It really falls in line with Angel's story. And she's talking about the government because she had a government job. She was working for Tish James in the public advocate's office. And you see this pattern, And here Eric Sanders says again, the fraternity sorority atmosphere is alive and well within the city government. And of course, he also chimed in and said, yes, Tish, the so-called NYPD savior who doesn't know a damn thing about the culture. It's true. Stay trained up. 1PP is a damn comedy club. Anything goes there. But it falls in line with what we heard today. And I'm 100% behind Angel. I believe her. I know her story is credible because the New York Post owes her money because they defamed her. And that's what people need to know. You can't just defame people because they're victims, because they go behind the power structure, The big wigs are behind things. We can't say about anything like the man that will go unnamed in the media, despite the fact that his nightclub had a major stabbing a few weeks ago, and every major NYPD executive goes there still associating with a known criminal, yet There's silence. Yet somebody right now has slash marks still on their body from what happened there. And this is kind of what we see. And the microcosm here is, while the people in Tennessee are screaming for Eric Adams because they think he's MAGA or whatever that means, New York City should be a model of what you don't want in your own city, in your own town, because it's a failure in how it's run. It's not the people there. It's the people running things. New York City can get fixed in 2 minutes. New York State, and I mean 2 minutes on what? Who's running the show? That's how simple it is, folks. Who is running the show? Who is elected or selected? That's who's the problem there. You know? Here's one from Tennessee Holler. Zoran brought in new young voters, exactly what Dems have been trying to figure out. And instead of embracing him, much of the Democrat establishment is trying to sabotage him. If y'all are trying to usher in a Democratic Tea Party, this is a great way to do it. And, you know, there's definitely truth to that. I think that voters just want something new. And I will, again, tell people, stop going after Zoran's race and religion, because you are driving people to rally behind him. Curtis Lever was on yesterday. He was on with John and Eric on the Firestone Filter. That was great. And thanks, Curtis, for the little shout out. I heard my name be mentioned in regards to Eric's Eric Adams is only known for one thing, and that's partying. I think I've shown that numerous times. But he mentioned how the Muslim community, I know them. They are conservative by nature. And not every one of them is what you're trying to, the spin on Zoran is not a blanket thing of the Muslim community. And there's reach from Curtis to the Muslim community, because they'll vote for Curtis because they're conservatives. And they're scared over the policies of Zoran Mamdani. But many are making it about race, religion, and you're dividing people and driving them in droves behind him to vote. So even if people, like I say, low information people just vote, oh, you shop at the same store, oh, we're both Italian, oh, we're both whatever, instead of looking at the grand scheme of things, that's the people. You're driving people that route by continuously attacking someone for their race and religion and not their, we'll say, their policies, which is what matters. That's what drives the city and the state. I don't know, if, Jack, if you want to come on, if you have a take or not, or maybe you want to comment on what you just heard, because this was my hair was raised hearing this. It was really disturbing what I heard.
Yeah, seriously. And I think I'll give the comment of the day award to Eric Sanders when he pointed out, I think, the boorish behavior. That was the word he used, right? He pointed out the boorish behavior in the workforce. Yeah, it's a very sad social commentary, and it goes on in all walks of life, whether you're working at McDonald's, a Fortune 500 company, city government. The need for higher-ups to bully their subordinates is absolutely disgusting. I don't know if it's a lack of respect, the fact that some of them are living out their own PTSD from when people above them bullied them. There is kind of a fraternity-type nature in the sense that it's like a rite of passage. We're going to bully you until you become one of us, and then we'll kind of leave you alone. But it's totally immature, and it leaves companies very vulnerable to situations like these. The sad reality is that places like the city are prepared for these types of things to happen, so they are ready to make these types of huge payouts when they inevitably do. But sadly enough, even when they have these travesties, they don't do enough to correct the system. And that's why a year later, after everyone's forgotten what's happened, something like this takes place again. Sadly, with Letitia James, this has become a reoccurring pattern that happens time and time again. And she uses her own investigations, her own looking into people who have committed sexual assault to cover it up, which is probably the most disgusting part.
Mm-hmm. And she's, in my opinion, she's a disgusting, vile human being who, by the way, now backs Zoran Mamdani. And again, I want to reiterate, look into his history as a rapper. That's as much as I want to say right now. And just remember that the cover-up specialist is hanging in the background, just so we understand what kind of stuff that I understand may or may not be going on in this period when Mamdani is a rapper. Special Hagen here says, James is part of the Brooklyn Democrats cabal. her whole career has been shrouded in controversy from the beginning when James Davis was assassinated. Yes, I do remember that. I remember that moment that happened. Stay trained up, but we know making New York City great is not what the machine wants. There's money in improving the city. You're right. I don't know what the machine wants. The major unions are backing Mamdani. Okay, you see who's flocking to him. You have now Al Sharpton saying Cuomo should step down. He was just hanging out with him last week. He's getting with Mamdani. You're dealing with in a vicious cycle. And Curtis Lewa, who came on yesterday, you should go back and watch that. You should listen to that show because he sounds like the best choice. He knows all the issues. Get past all the stupid. He's wearing a red beret. You're making value judgments. That's exactly what happened to Angel. People making value judgments on her because you're listening to Tish James and all their crew calling her crazy. It's not true, all this stuff. And when you look at it and you start to hear this story, oh, my God, but you're not doing that because you made the value judgment. I'm not into that. You need to hear everything out. We need to see where the evidence leads. And then you start to decide, is this right or wrong? I don't know what you're doing for 4th, Jack. I know it's 4th of July tomorrow. On the 5th, I'll be headed to I'm going to the baseball game to watch the Miami Marlins, who I think are now better than the New York Mets. So at least I'll have an entertaining weekend, per se.
So I would like to officially rename Major League Baseball. The letters which represent it are MLB. I would like to rename it Major League, and then we're going to slide the word over a little bit, embarrassment. We're going to capitalize the B, the E, and the M in front of the B are going to be lowercase. But it's like every time you want to watch a baseball game nowadays, Sal, it's like 8-0 in the 3rd inning, 15-1 in the. It's like every time, like, because we're busy guys, we work a lot, we do stuff at night, so it's like we very rarely get a free couple of hours to just watch a game from the 1st inning all the way until the 27th out. But every time I do so nowadays, the games are non-competitive. They're terribly slowly paced. The pitching changes happen every 2 batters, it feels like. You have teams like the Pirates and the Rockies, which, listen, it's fun to watch the Yankees and the Mets beat up on the bottom feeders of planet Earth, but it's still, from a competition standpoint, is just boring. Like, the sport has become inherently unentertaining. It's the same thing every single year with the Dodgers winning the National League, the Yankees winning the American League, although it's going to actually be the Astros this year in the American League. Fox puts up a score bug starting in August. 5 more batters until Shohei Ohtani. I mean, I'm pretty sure I've seen that graphic during football games. I'm a little bit tired of the nonsense going on in Major League Baseball, and specifically the collusion amongst owners who don't want to spend any money and want to maximize profits at the expense of demonizing the product, which has become awful.
I agree. Some of the games are horrific. It's just entertaining to go to that. I say it's entertaining to go to the Marlins game, but if you're there as a Marlins fan, you're definitely gonna pull your hairs. So Jack, I want to wish you a happy 4th, and definitely we'll be seeing you on Tuesday on the next episode of the Sal Greco Show. So thank you, Jack, and for everyone out there, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the repost with this. If you can, remember, if you can go to the GoFundMe, help out Angel. It's imperative that you go on there. I don't know exactly what you type to go on there, but I would look up her name, Angel DuBose, and that should pop up. And it does say there's a picture of her. That is her GoFundMe, and she's just trying to raise awareness and advocate for those who can't speak. She is now the poster child of the voiceless. She is now defending the voiceless, and that is I applaud her, and she needs to be front and center, and I hope everyone shares this out and shares her story, and be on the lookout, because there might be other things in the future where the story can expand, or maybe she could come back on and get into even more details. But I think this was a lot to digest today, and if anything, you learn that we have a corrupt system that's in place in New York City, and it has to change. It's probably in a town near you, and this is the blueprint to try to avoid. We're trying to change this. Okay? Nobody here is making money, folks. I'm not here. I don't have any big sponsors. I do this generally out of my own heart. I do this because I want to help people. That was my purpose in New York City Police Department, where I help people making arrests. I got bad guys off the street for the neighborhood, but I did clean out situations where people were being bothered or whatnot, or there was people hanging out in a park where they shouldn't be next to a home. That's what you did as a police officer. Your job is always to help others. And that's basically life. Always try to help others. Never make it about yourself, because that's when you begin to fail. So I hope everyone has a good 4th of July. Have a great weekend. We're celebrating this 249th year of this great country. You can say what you want. For everyone out there, I do say, God bless the president. I do have disagreements. Doesn't mean I don't like the policies. And I need him, and everyone needs him to succeed, because if he goes forward, the country goes forward. And I do feel like there's a spirit of America is saying that America's back, and it has a lot to do with who's in charge. Love him or hate him, we need him to be successful. And I want to wish Trump, his family, and everyone in the White House, everyone in D.C., happy 4th of July. Same goes to Democrats too. I wish everyone would just come together and realize what's right and what's wrong. So, and with that being said, thank you all for tuning in. Reminder, you can check out everything 4th of July festivities. I think they're going to have, check your local listings for I think there's always a fireworks show somewhere. There's always a parade somewhere. Be patriotic. Be prideful of this country, because this is still the best country to live in the world. Not only in my opinion, but the opinion of many, which is why everyone wants to come here. Just got to come here legally. Make sure you come here legally. Don't get caught and all that nonsense. All right. You don't want ICE bearing down on you. But thank you for tuning in once again. If you can go to the GoFundMe, please help Angel in her cause. If anybody wants to jump in, I don't know, let me know, or drop a line and something on a donation for her, and support her, because it's like you're supporting yourself. It's very important. Thank you all. Thanks to the Finest Unfiltered family. Tomorrow, 8:05 live, Finest Unfiltered. Check that out. Check out Executive Perspective replay yesterday. Eric Dim filled in for Ron Layson, who claims it'll be the very last time you ever see that. But it was a good show with Eric and Rob. You can watch that on replays, 5:05, 17:05 Eastern every Wednesday. And, of course, also on Tuesdays at 7 p.m., the 10-4 Tavern, I believe. I forgot the Tavern will be on with Tom Joyce and Faselli, Peter Faselli. You can check them out on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. With that being said, let me wish all a very good, happy 4th of July. Be safe. Be careful with the fireworks if you are doing anything. And may God bless you. May God bless this country. And may God bless everyone. And hopefully we can get things right. I'm now going to sign out from South Florida, which we all know is a sunny place for shady people.
So this is a biblical moment. When Jesus was on the cross, he said, God, forgive them, for they know not what they do. All these Negroes who are asking me to step down, God, forgive them. Are you stupid?